Take two.
Hey, Mega Moms, Jessica Hensley here with Real Estate Mega Moms, where we help moms create a life and a business that they love. I swear I always mess that part up, but you ladies know what I'm here for. So today I am in Denver, Colorado, and I am masterminding with some amazing new friends, some a little bit older, some newer. This is one of my new friend, Malia, and she is actually an investor. She just got her real estate license, and she's a mom of 6. And so, what I wanted her to talk about today was why agents need to take investors maybe more seriously, how they can connect with them, how they can have this amazing base of investor clients that will not only work with them just for one transaction, it actually ends up being for multiple transactions. So, we're going to be talking about some of that. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and just dive in. So, Malia, you are a mom of 6, and I know that you had a business before, and it was an appliance business and the plumbing business. Your husband had the plumbing business.
So we had appliance and plumbing. We also had a very large used appliance sales. In between that time, we did it for 16 years. So yeah, it was.
And that's I mean, anybody that owns a business, especially a brick and mortar business, like you are tied to that.
Yes.
Yeah. So is that one of the reasons that you decided to get into real estate?
So real estate has given us a more of like freedom with our kids, given us back time, has given us more financial freedom.
And when you say investing, so I think maybe that's kind of a generic word in some ways. So how specifically are you guys investing? And by the way, I didn't say this earlier. She is in Omaha, Nebraska. So if you do know somebody that is an investor or a client that you want to refer to Omaha, she is definitely one of the amazing agents there. I'm gonna interview another amazing agent there too, but you definitely have some investment expertise. She has some really cool spreadsheets, I will say. Okay, so back to my question for you. When you say investing, what do you mean?
So what we do is we purchase and hold some, if it makes sense financially. We always look at cash flow. Sometimes that's not right for everybody, but we have, let's see, I think 11 like long-term rentals and 24 midterm rentals.
And I think that it's so scary. So something that I'd love for each and every one of you that are listening to this, I want you to think about as a real estate agent. We are selling a product, which is houses and real estate. And I believe in it. I do believe in it as an investment. But how often, I mean, I would love to see the statistics on this. How often do we have agents that the only thing they own is their primary residence? They never venture out to buy rental properties, short-term rentals, long-term, or even flips. And I don't know if it's because of scarcity mindset or what it is, but I believe we as women, as real estate agents, you need to use your commission in the beginning to pay your bills, but then grow it so that you can invest and then one day be able to have your investments outpace your real estate income, because those investments will last a lot longer. In fact, they're going to become bringing you money, whether you're making calls or, knocking doors or whatever, right? I mean, there's a lot more consistency to it.
Yes. But there's a misconception that it's passive income.
Okay.
It's definitely not passive income. You still have to work. You still have to tend to your tenants and make sure that everybody is taken care of. You have to, if there's a vacancy, you have to get it filled. So a lot of people think that just because it's passive, it's really not.
So what about like having a property manager? Do you have one?
Yes, I do have a property manager. She is learning the ropes right now, getting real familiar with, how we run things and stuff like that. So
yeah. Do you think that they take off a lot of your day-to-day?
Yes, absolutely. So my property manager, she runs to the houses if there's any issues. And we do a lot of midterm rentals. So if there's a problem with the door code, she runs over there. I don't have to do that. And my husband doesn't have to do that. So it has taken a lot of time off of our hands.
Mm-hmm. And Malia and her husband, they work together, and your husband's a lender as well.
We do hard money lending.
Okay.
We've done just a couple of deals so far, but we are well set up to hard money lending.
Well, especially because you understand that world, the investing world. So kind of like let's take it back to the real estate agent that's likely watching this. I don't know if you have seen how you get calls and emails from investors, especially if you have listings in your market. I get them pretty often, and I will say I have been guilty of passing them off because I have felt like that's a lot of work for little return. And, for me, most of the time, those investment properties are not very expensive. So the commission isn't that high, but they want me to do a lot of legwork for them. So I have been guilty of really brushing off investors in the past. Now, right now, my focus actually is on bringing in more investors, finding package deals, finding off-market properties, and you brought up a really good point of why somebody might want to actually take those relationships seriously.
I think it's really important to talk to your investors because, yeah, they might not have a, it might not be a big commission up front, but you may get the purchase and then you'll get the sale on the end for the most part. I can't speak for all investors. I'm not sure if we really said that I flip houses.
Oh yeah.
So not only do
That's important.
not only do I hold real estate and rentals, I flip houses quite a bit. Right now I have 10 in Omaha going, and we're purchasing more. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
That's why. So when I say that you get the purchase and the sale, that's for most of the time when you're dealing with investors who flip houses.
And also, if they like the area, you did a good job for them, you gave them accurate numbers. I would think most investors are like, okay, find me the next deal. Right. So it's also, it's not just that one house or that, 1 6-month period. It's like the life value of that investor is probably a lot more than the average homeowner. I think they move every 5 years. And so I always like to try to take care of my clients so that they'll come back to me. But if you can have 10 transactions with an investor in 5 years,
Yeah. So coming from the background of the service industry, I always tell people it costs more money to get new clients, right?
Mm.
So every time you get a new client, you paid for it in some way. But if you can retain your clients, it's going to be a bigger return. And investors, not everybody's as aggressive as, my husband and I, but there are some that are out there, and we've done 24 houses last year.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't realize you did that many. Yeah. And you have, like you said, 13 right now or something? 10. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. So when you say taking care of your investors, the moms that have been watching for a while, that we are very heavily into having like a VIP group, doing a monthly giveaway. I'm all about taking care of your past clients. But I will say I've had personally, and coaching clients I've worked with, have a little bit of a brick wall when it comes to investors, because it's like these people are making a lot more money than the average family or the average household. A gift that I might get, a family of 4 is probably going to be different than, this man that's investing, man or woman. I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be just men, right? We're investors too. So how do you mean to take care of them? What should we do?
I think that the best way to take care of your investors is bring them the deals. Constantly, we hear about investors. they're always looking for deals. So if you know your market and you can say, hey, this house is going to be worth, this much, but also get to know your investor. You should know what kind of quality work they do in order to say, like, okay, it's going to hit the high part of the market.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to give them an ARV, which is after repair value. You don't want to give them that at a top price, and then they don't really
Underperform, right?
Yeah, and they underperform, not to a fault of their own or anything. That's just the work that they do. They know they can come in under cost, but they may not get the return that you said, and then they're upset with you.
Yeah.
At no fault to your own, except for just get to know your investors.
And I think it's intimidating. So another reason I believe every real estate agent, we should have this like long-term sort of exit strategy of let's buy some rental properties to begin with. Let's buy flips. You know your market better than anyone, or you should, right? You're paying attention to it. You know what's a good deal. You know what's not a good deal. A lot of times you get a client that's coming to you that, you get to know about it before it hits the market. And so in fact, that the only I've done three, I think I've done 3 flip houses, and I've had no, I've done 4. Anyway, not a lot, not a ton to speak of, but the ones I've done, it's because they came to me to list, and I saw it, they needed money right away. And so I was in a position that I was able to say, hey, I'm going to give you this amount. And I always did this, and I think this is so important, operate with integrity and tell them the ABR, like she said, the after repair value. I always did that. So I would say, this is your best case scenario. I call it a max value. This is the max value on this property. And that's if we fix it up and, do X, Y, Z. And so do you have the money to invest here? Because if you do, then by all means, you homeowners should get the money, as much money as you can. But often they appreciate that I've been so forthcoming. They're like, no, I just want the money now. And it's so surprising to me how many people will take that easy because they don't want to mess with the contractor. They don't, for whatever reason, they want the money today versus in 6 months.
Mm-hmm. And I can also say that some investors like myself, we can usually close a lot faster than a traditional loan. So a lot of times my guys, they're out looking for the properties, and they'll just text me property address, ARV, ? And I look it up. I see what I think that it is based on my experience, and I send it back to them. They say they want to go look at it or not, and I schedule it. It's it's not real difficult to deal with them, but they may be sending you quite a bit of ARVs if you get really
proficient at it.
Yeah.
And I forgot, I was going somewhere with that last sentence I said, or statement. I think that we need to get proficient in it because it's a lot easier to work with these investors if you speak the language. And I think that's what's probably holding up 99% of you from working with an investor, because you feel intimidated and feel like you're not qualified. But let me tell you, you are. As long as you have a good working knowledge of your market, you understand a contract, you understand how to truly represent your client. The investor, in my experience, they've all been very gracious. They do not expect me to have all the answers. And by the way, there's this little thing called YouTube and Google. And so you can find out a lot from that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyway, I just want to say, like, don't be intimidated. Don't allow that fear to slow you down. But let's talk some lingo. So if an investor was to contact me and they wanted me to find them, good flips or whatever, what are some things that they're going to look at? What are some numbers that they would want to know?
They're going to want to know, they're really just going to want to know, like, ARV. I mean, from my experience, that's what we ask.
Okay.
ARV. And then also, right now, the market's a little bit odd in our market. Because we'll go in, a house is listed for, let's say, $85,000. Okay, we know that is probably not going to be $85,000, and they'll get an offer for 125. Know what you're up against, because then you can come in with a strong offer. But also know like what your client is willing to do. And if that cap is too high, have the open communication with them to make sure that you understand what they're looking for.
Yeah. And I have a very rudimentary spreadsheet that I prepare for my investor clients. So I often will work with landlords, and they'll have multiple properties, and they want to package them together and sell them. And so what I've put together is, again, rudimentary, but I list the addresses, I list what they're getting in rent, I list what their taxes are and their insurance cost. And then you are sharing that we need to have like an average repair cost per year. And then you're going to list I always like to do the county assessed value, just because in my market, it's pretty often that if somebody's getting a commercial loan, and the county assessed value matches what they're asking, the bank's just going to go with it without even having to do it with the appraisal. Do they do that with you too? They do like the drive-back. Anyway, I know it's different in every market, but I still like to have that if that's a good, somewhat of an indicator for you. Then I have what do I think it would sell for today if it's not on the market yet. And so I call it market value. And then now I'm going to be having this ARV, which I didn't have on my list before. So I'll have after retail or after repair value. So all of those things combined, you can add up the average rent. And hopefully I'm saying this right, because she pulled my spreadsheet and she's like, let me do a few things. And she kind of worked her magic as an investor. But still, I've done a lot of that legwork. And if I'm going to provide you with all that information, that's probably a lot that's helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that if you can provide it, especially if you're doing a portfolio, if, providing all that information, easy to read,
data.
Yeah, it's really helpful, because all we have to do is, input it. And I have a pretty extreme Excel file that tells me
It's
whether
awesome.
or not a property is a flip or if it's a hold. So
yeah, I'm trying to get him and Sarah to do some consulting. So TBD on that. We'll bring that back to y'all later. but yeah, so just those are some things that you would want to know. And again, use Google, YouTube. A lot of investors will ask for things like cap rates. She is telling me, Malia and also Jamie, they don't care about cap rates, but it is still a question that people will ask. So it's good for you to understand at least what that means. And so just kind of a quick explanation is they take the income that it provides minus the vacancy rate. So like you do 5% typically. So that would be, so I would take 95% of the income it's going to bring. And then I would subtract all of the expenses, including the repairs or the estimated repairs. And then you do that you divide it by the market value, and that gives you your return. So a good return is anywhere from like 7 to 10. Again,
yeah, I think a lot of people are looking at the 7 cap rate. Again, I don't look at that, so it's really irrelevant to me. So I can't really speak on what other people are looking at, but
yeah. But it is a number that would be helpful when you're speaking with investors.
Absolutely.
So yeah, open your mind. Consider working with investors if you want another client source. And I mean, honestly, it could be your primary if you wanted it to be. So you are getting into real estate now as a real estate agent.
Yes.
Do you plan on working with a lot of investors?
Yeah, I'm open to really anything. The initial thought was to get the real estate license, market my own deals. But I've actually found that I think that I can do this,
you can.
And I feel like, I've got some buyers. I've already, got a property under contract. So I'm really excited that I get to, get involved in this side of things.
Yeah. I'm excited for you. This is a mom's podcast after all. So I think we should touch a little bit on your family and, managing all of this with 6 kids and also working with your husband. So, how do you juggle it all?
Well, I'm not really sure, just like everybody else. I'm just trying to figure it out as I go. My kids are all in sports, trying to juggle that, trying to figure out who's at practice. But to be honest, my kids are so independent. Thank goodness, because I don't know if I could function. My children actually tell me, like, "Hey, Mom, I have practice." "Hey, Mom,
You have trained them to be that way.
Yes, absolutely. And it's probably because, I'm so busy with, running the business, starting a business. I do quite a bit.
I would so much rather see that. And I mean, honestly, I say that there's no shame on any parenting style. Everyone needs to do what's right for their own family. But my son's kind of the same way. And I think that it's almost a given whenever you're an independent entrepreneur family, like that's just what they know. So they model what they see. And I feel like they're going to be so much more set up for success in their life because they know how to work, they know how to think independently, that there's like problem solving going on there. So
yeah, I'm super proud of my kids for taking the initiative. My oldest is 18, my youngest is 8. I do have 6 of them. So.
And you do not look old enough to have a kid at 18.
I know. She's in college. And so, yeah, it's super exciting to see where they're going to go and how they're going to function in this world. And I always tell my kids, the world is your playground. And what I mean by that is, I love Omaha but I want to, travel and I want to meet new people. And so we're actually trying to get involved in real estate and outside of Omaha. So we're looking for real estate agents to, partner with in other markes.
So how can they get a hold of you? Your DMs are going to be like exploding.
Yeah, no. I don't really know the best.
You have an Instagram?
I do, and
is it private?
I have a business Instagram.
Okay, I will put this in the show notes. So, So if you have, what type of property are you looking for?
We're looking for flips, and we're really open to go anywhere. Since we're in Omaha, Kansas is right below us.
I'm already, she's claimed for Kansas. Okay.
Yes, I've already, we're going to do some deals. Yeah. But we talked about going down to Texas, and we've talked about, Florida. We love Florida. Places that we want to travel.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I forgot to mention, and so let's just take maybe 5 minutes to talk about this. How would an agent connect with an investor? Because the examples I gave was when an investor reaches out to you. Now, if you're not an established agent and you don't have listings, that's kind of a long shot of whether you're going to get directly contacted by an investor. So if somebody wants to be more proactive, where would you recommend going?
In my market and with many markets, there are groups called REI, which is Real Estate Investors. And you can Google it and see if you have one in your area, or, search your social medias and see if there's any groups for real estate investing. But get involved, get in front of them, talk to them, see what they want. And keep in contact with them, because they may already have an agent, but if you can bring them a deal, they're going to use you.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, well, moms, we will make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, our podcast on iTunes or wherever you listen. And I'd love to hear your ahas. So if you could comment below, what was one takeaway that you got from this conversation? And if you have an idea for our next topic, add that as well. I'll see you in our next episode.